10 years ago, I never imagined I'd be asking this question. Is the drone hobby still worth it? Let's face it, a lot has changed over the last decade. 10 years ago, you could just buy a drone at Best Buy, charge it up, and go have some fun. Or you could order a bunch of parts from China, solder a drone together, and go to the park to see if it would fly. Back then, there were almost no rules, and pretty well no enforcement. But drones share airspace with real aircraft that have real people in them. As a retired airline pilot, I understand that regulation and enforcement needed to come. And come it did. Today, pilots need licenses. Drones need to be registered. And it's harder and harder to find a place that you can fly legally. In Canada, drones are just banned in national and provincial parks. You can't take off or land on private or tribal property without permission. And once you find a place to fly, if you want to fly anything bigger than a micro drone, you need to use an online app to check airspace rules, and you need to complete a site survey. Now when I fly my synchronized flights, I need an SFOC, a Special Flight Operations Certificate. The application for my SFOC is a 25-page document that takes about a week to put together. Transport Canada defines drones as remotely piloted aircraft systems, RPAS. Under that definition, the new regulations don't just apply to quadcopters, they overlap with traditional model aircraft. The new rules came as a hell of a shock to the model airplane pilots who up until then had just been having fun at their local airfields. They suddenly needed to pass an exam, get licensed, and register their models. So a lot of those guys are a bit resentful of drones. I don't really blame them. 10 years ago, drones were new and interesting. When people saw one flying, they were kind of curious. They'd stop, watch, even maybe ask questions. Back then, drones seemed like a glimpse of the future. That's not how they're seen anymore. Too many showed up in the parks, at the beaches, and over people's backyards. Curiosity kind of morphed into annoyance. Then, when Russia invaded Ukraine, small drones became lethal weapons. And the US banned new DJI drones. So now people see drones as a national security risk. Today, when someone hears or sees a drone overhead, they don't wonder what it's filming. They wonder why it's there. With all these new regulations, and with that shift in public perception, everything feels different. And you wonder if the drone hobby is still worth it. So let's step back and see if we can get some perspective before I try to answer that question. So what is this drone hobby really? Well, there's lots of different aspects to it. Over the past decade, I've had lots of fun with drones. I've fiddled with building them from scratch. I've had great fun putting cameras on them and chasing other guys around drone courses. I've taken air-to-air videos of model airplanes with them. I've flown 8 of them together in synchronized flight. And I've taken cinematic videos with them. Well, at least I've tried to. Let me tell you about a buddy of mine named Lyle. Lyle was intrigued by drones right from the beginning. About 10 years ago, he decided to build a drone he could get into and fly. Yeah, he decided to build a real flying car. His buddies thought he'd kill himself, and they tried to talk him out of it, including me. So he called it his standalone project, SAP. Now he worked on that thing alone for 6 years, and eventually it flew. Now, Lyle isn't your average guy. He spent a lot of his time sailing the world's oceans with his wife, Carol, in a boat he designed and built himself. But those are stories for a different time. Lyle's 88 now. He has a grade 8 education. Maybe what's happened with drones over the past decade could have been predicted. Aviation didn't start with regulations. It started with two bicycle mechanics messing around in a field. Airplanes improved quickly and became hugely popular. Rules had to follow, so governments created their civil aviation authorities. Then wars accelerated aircraft development. Eventually, aviation became ordinary and safe. Regulation was accepted as the cost of safety. And despite the regulations, people still enjoy airplanes as a hobby. That's the trajectory of full-scale aviation. I think drones are following the same trajectory as aviation did, just much faster. All of the magic came together about 15 years ago. Microprocessors, sensors, and cameras got smaller, way more powerful, and way cheaper. And GPS became available to everybody. Smart programmers created the firmware and made it free and open source. Suddenly, drones could fly. Early pilots experimented. Lyle experimented. And drones became powerful and useful. Industries grew around them. All due to the work of really smart hardware and software engineers. And because of passionate guys like Lyle. Drones didn't get regulated when they were toys. They got regulated when they became powerful and useful. What looks crude and controversial at first often matures into something that eventually looks ordinary. So, is the drone hobby dying? No, it's following that same great historical trajectory as general aviation did. Is it still worth pursuing the hobby? Hell yes, it's worth it. Not because it's easy or particularly cool. It's worth it because it's challenging. Because it rewards discipline. Because satisfaction comes from doing something well.
Excellent. Did I say excellent?
I've never once heard Lyle say he regrets building SAP. If you enjoy problem solving and learning new stuff simply because it's worth doing, the rewards are still there. And they're well worth it. Thanks for watching.